Hello. It is 8:52 and I woke up like 10 minutes ago. I think I just needed more sleep. So, technically it was like 11:15 or 11:20 when I actually fell asleep. So, but yeah, I was getting like around 7ish hours. Uh and yeah, so I got like a full eight and some change. But so I've noticed a problem that I didn't really think too much about it, but this is totally gonna fuck my results on the weight stuff. So I weighed myself. I'm at 272.4 with an asterisk because different parts of the floor give different results because the floor is uneven, because it's made of wood, and the wood is just not perfectly like aligned. So when I weigh myself, if it's more uneven, I get a worse result. If it's less uneven, I get a more accurate and better result. And so I don't know where I was measuring myself from some days. So that'll fuck things up. Because, like, I'll just say, part of the floor I started at, it was a bit lower than usual. Because I usually, I usually measure around the same area. But that was more of a subconscious thing rather than something consciously I was doing. And I put it on a different part of the floor, and it was like 277.4. But it was really uneven, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? So then I moved it up, and suddenly it was 272.4. And then I moved it in a different area, and it was 273.3. And I'm like, what? Like, so there's at least like 3 or 4 different like points at which it could measure different results. And I'm like, fuck. Because I'm not like, I'm measuring at the same time every day. I'm measuring after I use the restroom. And I'm measuring, with the same, like, conditions aside from the floor. And it's really, like, I'm like, well, what is my actual weight now? I don't know. So I might have to start bringing if I really want to, like, be accurate, I might have to start bringing my scale downstairs and use the wood flooring. I don't even know if that's flat. I'll have to find the flattest spot where it doesn't move and jiggle at all. And I'll weigh myself with clothes. I know my clothes are about 1.5 pounds. And then I just subtract 1.5 pounds. So that fucking sucks. Not that my data hasn't been accurate, it's just that the accuracy is probably lower than I would imagine it actually is. We know that I'm going down in weight, which is the good thing. But yeah, like, now I'm questioning some of the weigh-ins where it's like, was I actually at 275? Was I actually at 274.5? Like, I don't know. Maybe the gaining a bunch of weight randomly was actually a matter of the scale being fucked rather than me actually gaining weight. Because it was weird that, like, one day I would weigh myself and I was really low, and then the next day I'd weigh myself and suddenly it's like there's 2 pounds there. Like, what's actually happening? So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, but I'll fuck around with it after I'm done with this. One thing. I'm sorry, I'm just moving my mic. I don't know if. I guess this is probably fine. I'm far enough away to where it's whatever. You can still hear me. It's within the yellow. But, oh, man. My dream was so weird that I just had to talk a little bit about it. I literally was... Well, I had multiple dreams, but the one that I thought was, like, really bizarre, I was literally talking to Henry Cavill, and he seemed, at least in the dream, he seemed like a decent person. He was just insecure with himself and his body, which is, you wouldn't actually expect that. But, yeah, he was just talking about how, like, he's like, yeah, I'm getting older, and, like, it's really hard to keep up appearances of my body, and, he was doing something with his hair. Like, he kept using this, like, spray stuff on his hair. And he's like, it's just so hard to keep this image, and I'm like, okay, look, you can't act like a 20-year-old when you're 40. You just can't do that. Just as someone who's 70 shouldn't be acting 40 when it comes to their physical body. Even if you take incredible care of your body, you have to treat your body with respect for the age that it's at. And obviously, like, you've taken an incredible amount of care with your body, but it's still 40. And at the time, I didn't know that he was in his 40s. I looked it up, like, later when I woke up. But yeah, apparently I just knew, which is really funny. And yeah, so I was just like, I was trying to, like, help him work through the idea that it's okay to have a body that is aging. That's just, we all age. And so you don't have to put up this front, because in the end, you are who you are. So if your body starts having issues where you have, like, gray hair, or you have aches that you never knew existed, or whatever it is, treat your body with respect, and don't try to pretend you're younger than you are. There's no need to do that. Now, I'm also not saying be 80 when you're 20, right? Act your age. And it's not even about acting. It's just be yourself. And that includes wherever you are at body-wise. So, but I thought it was a good lesson that I should just, like, bring up. Since I was like, it was just such a weird thing of, like, it was very specific that it was him. And he tries to put on that, like, he tried, like, the vibe I got when I was talking with him. Now, again, it's all in a dream, but this felt pretty, like, if I didn't know any better, I thought I was actually talking to him through the dream. Just saying. Like, I'm not actually trying to point any fingers on, like, yeah, this actually happened. That's just the feeling I got, was that I was somehow communicating with him in some degree. But yeah, it's just important to remember that you don't have to be perfect. If like, I've seen a couple gray hairs, like in my beard or in my actual hair, and when I notice them, it's like, okay, like, this is a natural part of aging. I don't need to hide that. My fucking phone. Oh, man. I really need to just start muting it, like, all the time. But yeah. It's it's something you shouldn't fear. You shouldn't fear your age. You just do what you do, what you can do. There was an older gentleman on Friday that I was working out, doing the, like, seated bench press stuff, and him and an older guy, they were both in their, like, 80s. They were talking about, just, like, doing their best and, like, good job, and cheering each other on. And I was just smiling, watching the interaction. I thought it was very wholesome. And then he turns to me and starts talking to me. Never talked to this guy before. And he was just talking to me about, like, how hard it is sometimes to do your best in the gym when you're like, damn, when I was 30, I could, like, blow this, like, weight away like it's nothing. And I just talked to him about how, like, yeah, it's a similar kind of level of advice where it's like, yeah, you can't expect your body to act like it was when it was 40. That's not fair for you, the current you. All you can do is just do your best with what you have. And he was talking about, he's like, yeah, but sometimes I don't do my best because I feel lazy. And I didn't really get a chance to, like, respond to that, but my response to that is, that is the best you can do. That's the point. You feel lazy. It's because you're tired. Because you're trying to push yourself past what your 80-year-old body can do. So when you work out and you're like, oh my god, I could only do 4 reps with this weight, and I used to be able to do 50 reps with this weight, or, like, throw on an extra 50 pounds and, like, I could do 10. Yeah. But that was 20 or 30 or 40 years ago, right? So don't expect yourself to have a level of standard that your past self had. That's just stupid. Because you're not that person anymore. Both in body and mind. So you can't keep comparing your past self to your present self. Because when you do that, you just get depressed. Like, imagine I did a little of this when I was doing the swimming. But imagine if I tried to compare my 7-year-old self or 8-year-old self doing like 140 laps of swimming to the current self. Like, how fair is that? That's not even, you can't even compare the two. And that's effectively what a lot of these people are doing, is they're comparing their past self to their present self. Now, of course, they're adults in their past self, but it still stands that you got to let go of the comparison. You're doing the best you can with your current self, and that's all that matters. It doesn't matter about anything else. Pat yourself on the back. You're doing a good job. And I mentioned that to him. I was like, look, you're doing a great job. Just pat yourself on the back that you're able to do what you can do. Be kind to yourself. Because the self-talk, all it really does is just make you sad. When you kind of try to do the comparison. I mean, you wouldn't compare yourself to an Olympic athlete. You just wouldn't do that. So why are you comparing yourself to a younger version of you? It's the same principle. Obviously, it's not exactly the same, but, you know, pick a random 20-year-old in there and then say, hey, we need to compete in weights. That's fucking dumb. Like, you'd never do that. So, yeah. I felt like this was an important thing to just kind of mention. So, I'm gonna go and do stuff. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in a little bit. Hello. It's 2:07 and I literally almost forgot to record this. I was so focused on this. There was this tarot reading from like, I don't know, 8 months ago from this person. I think it was actually like 6 months ago. But it was like around that time where, yeah, it just showed up in my feed as like, it just kept popping up. Like, it wasn't like it showed up once. It just kept popping up. And I was like, it's older. I don't know if like anyone's really like gonna resonate with me if it's like that old. And that because it's like a very new thing that I'm going through. It just kept showing up. So I ended up watching it. I'm glad I did, because there was actually like a 2-parter. And the first part and the second part really resonated with like my lived experience in a lot of ways. And so, yeah. So I was like halfway through listening to it and I stopped eating and I'm like, I started eating without recording. Whoops. So, I just knocked over the mic. That probably sounded awful. Sorry. So this is what's left of the veggies, but you can see that I did in fact eat veggies and tofu. Yeah. I went to the gym for a walk, and while I was walking, at about the 45-minute mark, I realized the treadmill. There's something about the treadmill. I just hate the treadmill. And I try to like jazz it up with putting headphones in and listening to a book, which is fine. I can like tune out the walking, and it's kind of weird. Like when I'm really, really into the book, I forget that I'm even walking, and just time passes really fast. But I think whenever it's not raining, which, to be fair, it has been like, there's been like really bad weather recently. I think I really need to just make sure that any walk I do is outside, if possible, because I don't really like the treadmill. And maybe inside, I should start doing more of like the racquetball. Like I can practice and like run around. I can do drills with basketball, and then the swimming on the weekend. So I think maybe I'm transitioning more into those like active sports for my activity. So I just need to let that go, and we'll see what happens. But is there anything else that I should talk about? I don't know. Like, I think this might be just a short one, and that's fine. I'm gonna finish eating. I'm gonna get some other stuff done. I did schedule an appointment with the friend that I met on Thursday. He was like, "Hey, do you want to like hang out?" I just, I really enjoyed spending time, and I think it'd be great to like hang out more often. And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I think we're gonna go walk. There's like a trail that he was talking about, so we're gonna meet up and do the trail. So yeah, and that'll be tomorrow morning. So I guess tomorrow it'll be like right before, like I'll wake up, I'll do the quick vlog and then head out. So anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'll see you for dinner, I guess. Bye. Hey guys, it is 8:35 and I am gonna show chickpeas, banana. Well, I say banana, but it's the cereal. So, strange turn of events. I found out that my buddy, the one that I've been referencing, has kind of been struggling for a while. He ended up having a stroke yesterday. And so he was in the hospital. I went and like checked in on him. Not going to talk about specifics of like medical stuff, but he's doing fine. And I think he'll recover just fine. But I don't know. So I went there. How do I say this? Going to the hospital, I could actually feel how tired I was when I left. And I'm beginning to suspect that this being tired is like a spiritual tiredness that I always kind of ignored. But now that I'm like listening more, it's becoming more and more obvious. I think it's not a surprise that going to a hospital, especially being in an area where there's a lot of critical patients or patients who are like struggling to be affected at least a little bit. So that's just new. Like I'm like, oh wow. hung out with him for a couple hours, and then headed home once visiting hours were like getting close to being done. Plus, he was incredibly tired, so I'm gonna go check on him tomorrow. But I think he's doing good. So, but yeah. So that's kind of where most of the afternoon went, which is totally fine. But yeah. So I'm glad I was able to go and see him. And also, I found out that his sister is actually incredibly perceptive when it comes to like spirituality. She just like kind of offhandedly, when I was telling her about how like we were walking back to the cars, because we'd parked close-ish, and I was telling her about how like, oh, I'm going on the trip, and I didn't, it's like I didn't book a hotel, and I'm just kind of like, it's really scary, and it's really hard for me to let go of that last little bit of control. And she was like, yeah, you just got to let go. And, you're going to show up there. And if you had a hotel, maybe you wouldn't have either the money or whatever to do whatever it is that maybe would show up. And so by leaving yourself open, it's giving you more opportunities that may show up. And so that's like a really comforting way of looking at things. So that was like actually some really poignant advice. So I was like, yeah, that's awesome. I totally agree. Because definitely like there have been like times over the past week where I've been like, I could just book a random hotel, even if it's just a night. And I'm like, the safety net thing, I really, really want to do it. I keep trying to do the safety net thing. But yeah, thinking about it from the perspective of I'm not going to need to book anything because it's already prepared for me. And I just need to go and see what opportunity shows up. And maybe it is me booking a very specific place that I show up at. So that also could be a thing where it's like you book the wrong place and then maybe you miss the opportunity. So you can like, whatever. But anyway, I don't want to like I'm trying to push away the like the potential thoughts I'm trying to like condense. So just let it happen. Whatever happens, happens. And, you guys can see how, like, hard this is for me to let go. Because it's, like, really... This is really the first time I've ever, like, fully just let go and trust. Which I think is the point. This is the whole point of this. Aside from, like, getting to the next step. Whatever the next step is. But... yeah. So... I was very, to be fair, I hadn't talked to his sister in like quite a while. It's been like 10 plus years. So I hadn't really known what was going on with her. But yeah, it was, I was pleasantly surprised. So that was great. I unearthed my racquetball stuff before I ended up leaving. I bought some racquetball tape to repair my racket. It's not that it necessarily needs repairing so much as I need to take the wrap off of it. Because there's like this black wrapping that you use to wrap the racket where you hold on the handle. And it's just worn away over time. and it's really like it just gets on your hands. It's like it's awful. So I need to take that off, or I guess I'll have to like find a video to like watch to see what the proper technique is for like restoring the base of the racket. So but yeah, and I'm looking for a new glove because my old glove is like tatters because I used it for so long. So there's like holes, and it's like really gross and sweaty because I only washed it every so often. I'd throw it in the washer, but it's still like it's been through a lot. So I was thinking about getting a couple on like Amazon or something. Initially, I went to a couple stores. Like on the way back, I went to a store to see if they had anything worth getting. And there was something that was kind of similar. It was like a golf club glove. But I'm like, I think I want something with more grip. So, and racquetball gloves tend to have like very specific gripping, so you can grip better. But anyway. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that. I don't really have anything specific to talk about, but going to eat my food and relax. I will say, going to the hospital, I need to test to see how I can... It's not really protecting myself so much as like lessen the burden that I feel after, because I do feel really tired, and it was very heavy in the eyes. Like, that feeling of maybe you've been like staring at a screen for like 10 plus hours, or you've been doing something that like your eyes feel like almost like on fire. Not really, but like, they feel really dry and like just totally just out of it. And so you want to like close them and just kind of rest them. That's how it feels whenever I get really tired. That's like a symptom I've noticed. So now I'm realizing, again, like I said earlier, where I think that's in relation to the like some sort of spiritual drain or something. I don't know, but I'll have to do more research at some point. I don't know. But anyway, have a good night. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.